Every night, Margaret from Toledo checks her bank account balance before bed. At 72, she's learned to count every dollar because her Social Security check is all that stands between her and choosing between groceries or her heart medication. What Margaret doesn't know yet is that powerful forces in Washington are threatening the very foundation of her financial security, and millions of seniors like her could see their monthly payments drastically reduced in just 9 short years. If you're watching this because you care about protecting the financial future of America's seniors, please hit that like button and subscribe to the Golden Money channel. We're here to break down the complex financial news that affects real people like Margaret and maybe even your own family. The latest warning from Senator Elizabeth Warren and the Social Security trustees isn't just another political talking point. This is about cold, hard numbers that will determine whether 68 million Americans can afford to keep their lights on and put food on the table. Recent reports from the Social Security Administration reveal a sobering reality that every American over 50 needs to understand. Here's what's happening behind the scenes while most people are focused on their daily lives. The Social Security Trust Fund, which has been the bedrock of retirement security for nearly 90 years, is running out of money faster than anyone anticipated. The trust fund that covers retirement and survivor benefits will only be able to afford scheduled payments in full until 2033, and when those reserves are depleted, the mathematical reality is unavoidable. Think about Dorothy from Phoenix, who worked as a teacher for 35 years and now receives $1,800 a month from Social Security. Under the current trajectory, she could see her monthly check drop to about $1,600 due to automatic cuts that kick in when the trust fund runs dry. That $376 reduction might not sound like much to someone earning a comfortable salary, but for Dorothy, it represents the difference between staying in her apartment or moving in with relatives she hasn't spoken to in years. The numbers tell a story that politicians would rather you not fully grasp. About 68 million people received benefits payments from Social Security last year, and the system is paying out more in benefits than it receives in payroll tax revenue. This isn't sustainable mathematics, and the consequences aren't theoretical anymore. Social Security is projected to cover only 81% of benefits by 2034. Which translates to benefit cuts between 19 and 23% for everyone currently receiving or expecting to receive Social Security. Senator Warren has been sounding the alarm about this crisis while proposing solutions that many find both promising and controversial. Her Social Security Expansion Act would expand Social Security benefits by $2,400 a year and fully fund it for the next 75 years. But the plan requires what she calls making millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share into the program. This approach divides lawmakers along predictable lines, with Republicans generally favoring benefit adjustments and Democrats pushing for revenue increases through higher taxes on wealthy Americans. Consider the real-world impact on someone like Robert from Michigan, who spent 40 years working in manufacturing before his plant closed and his pension evaporated. His Social Security check of $2,100 monthly is his only guaranteed income. Under the current trajectory toward trust fund depletion, Robert could lose more than $400 per month starting in 2034. For someone living on a fixed income with rising healthcare costs, this reduction could force impossible choices. Between prescription medications, heating bills, and basic nutrition, the timing of this crisis creates a perfect storm for current retirees and those approaching retirement. People who are 59 years old today will reach full retirement age right around the time the trust fund becomes depleted. These individuals have spent their entire working lives paying into Social Security with the expectation that the program would be there for them. Now, they face the possibility of receiving significantly reduced benefits through no fault of their own. The political dynamics make this situation even more complex. President Trump has vowed not to touch Social Security benefits, but promises and mathematical realities don't always align. If no legislative action is taken, the law calls for benefits to be cut automatically once the trust fund is exhausted. This means that doing nothing is actually a choice to cut benefits. Regardless of political promises, recent developments have provided some hope for certain groups of retirees. The Social Security Fairness Act, signed into law by President Biden in January 2025, requires the agency to adjust benefits for 3.2 million people, This legislation addresses previous inequities, with higher monthly payments ranging from $360 to $1,190, depending on individual circumstances. However, these improvements, while significant for those affected, don't address the broader funding crisis facing the entire Social Security system. The human stories behind these statistics reveal the true stakes of this crisis. Think about Helen from Florida, who worked as a nurse for 42 years and now volunteers at her local food bank. She sees firsthand how many seniors already struggle to make ends meet on their current Social Security benefits. The prospect of a 20% reduction in benefits would push many of her clients from food insecurity into genuine hunger. The mathematics of Social Security funding involves several key factors that most Americans don't fully understand. The program operates as a pay-as-you-go system, where current workers pay into the system to support current retirees. This worked well when there were many workers for every retiree, but demographic changes have shifted this ratio dramatically. Baby boomers are retiring in large numbers while birth rates have declined, creating fewer workers to support each retiree. Healthcare costs add another layer of complexity to the Social Security crisis. Medicare, which provides health insurance for seniors, faces its own funding challenges. Medicare is projected to cover just 89% of benefits by 2033. This means seniors could face simultaneous cuts to both their income through Social Security, reductions in their healthcare coverage through Medicare limitations. Small business owners who are approaching retirement face particular challenges in this environment. Take James, who ran a family restaurant for 30 years before selling it to fund his retirement partially. His Social Security benefits were calculated based on his reported income, which was often modest due to the nature of small business accounting. A significant reduction in his Social Security benefits could force him back into the workforce at an age when his health and energy are declining. The solutions being proposed range from modest adjustments to comprehensive overhauls. Some economists suggest gradually raising the retirement age, arguing that increased life expectancy justifies this change. Others propose removing the cap on wages subject to Social Security taxes, which currently stops at approximately $160,000 annually. Warren's approach focuses on this latter strategy, arguing that wealthy Americans should contribute to Social Security on all of their income, not just the first portion. International comparisons provide perspective on how other developed nations have addressed similar challenges. Several European countries have successfully reformed their pension systems through combinations of benefit adjustments, tax increases, and changes to retirement ages. However, the political culture in the United States makes such comprehensive reforms more difficult to implement. The disability insurance component of Social Security adds another dimension to consider. The Disability Trust Fund will be able to pay full benefits through at least 2097, which shows that different parts of the Social Security system face varying levels of financial stress. This suggests that targeted solutions might be more effective than broad brush approaches. For current retirees and those approaching retirement, the uncertainty creates anxiety that goes beyond financial concerns. Many seniors report losing sleep over questions about their future financial security. The psychological impact of not knowing whether promised benefits will materialize affects quality of life and can even impact physical health. The economic ripple effects of significant Social Security benefit cuts would extend far beyond individual retirees. When millions of seniors have less spending power, local economies suffer. Small businesses that depend on senior customers, from local restaurants to healthcare providers, would see reduced demand. This creates a downward economic spiral that affects workers of all ages. Young workers face their own set of concerns about Social Security's future. Many Americans in their 20s and 30s have been told for years that Social Security won't be there for them when they retire. While this isn't entirely accurate, since the system would still pay reduced benefits even after trust fund depletion, the uncertainty makes retirement planning extremely difficult. The most crucial information that every American needs to understand is this: the Social Security crisis isn't happening to someone else, and it isn't happening in the distant future. The Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund will be able to pay 100% of total scheduled benefits until 2033, and then automatic cuts will reduce benefits for everyone. This affects current retirees, people approaching retirement, and younger workers who are counting on Social Security as part of their retirement planning. The window for action is narrowing with each passing year. The longer Congress waits to address this crisis, the more dramatic the eventual solutions will need to be. Gradual adjustments implemented now would be far less painful than emergency measures implemented as the trust fund approaches depletion. What makes this situation particularly urgent is that Social Security isn't just about retirement benefits. The program also provides survivor benefits to widows and widowers, disability benefits to people who can't work, and benefits to children who have lost parents. When we talk about Social Security cuts, we're talking about reducing support for some of America's most vulnerable populations. The path forward requires honest conversations about trade-offs and priorities. Americans will need to decide whether they prefer benefit cuts, tax increases, retirement age adjustments, or some combination of these approaches. The one thing that isn't an option is ignoring the problem and hoping it resolves itself. Senator Warren's warning about 13.5 million seniors facing reduced monthly payments isn't political hyperbole. It's a mathematical projection based on current law and demographic trends. Whether Congress acts to prevent these cuts or allows them to happen automatically will determine the financial security of millions of Americans who have worked their entire lives with the promise that Social Security would be there for them. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the time for action is running shorter with each passing month. Understanding these realities is the first step toward ensuring that America keeps its promise to provide basic financial security for seniors, disabled individuals, and survivors who depend on Social Security benefits to maintain their dignity and independence.